much for tuning in to the Delco Duo. It's our third episode. I mean, this is a well-oiled machine at this point.
We have taken off Delco Duo, taking your Saturday night television by storm. If this is your first time watching, welcome in. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of your weekend with us. A little bit about how this show works, because that's how we like to start this. We like to describe exactly what the Delco Duo does, because, Monica, it's important work.
Right. So I'm Monica, PHL 17 meteorologist, and then Jenna, you do the traffic, but then Saturday nights, it gets a whole
We
lot
throw
different.
all of that out of the window. And what happens is our viewers, so some of them morning news viewers, Monday through Friday, some of them just new from the podcast, which was the Delco Duo podcast to now television show. You submit your issues to us, completely anonymous. It can have to do with anything, love, relationships, coworkers, neighbors, family, really anything that you have a problem with, you tell us, and then we give you our advice.
Right. So kind of like a Dear Abby, but television form, just what everybody needs. And then we talk about our own issues and we have a ton of fun. But before we get to all of it, let's get right to the debrief. We are debriefing from last week when we talked about Jenna. You went on vacation. You went to the lake, and it's Tate's happy place.
Yes.
Is the lake your happy place?
It has become my happy place. So growing up in Delco, of course, summers, we always went down the shore. It's just what everyone, I feel like, in the area did. We went down to the Jersey Shore, Ocean City, Avalon, Wildwood, all those fun areas. So when I married into a family from New Hampshire, Tate's family, my husband is from New Hampshire, they go to Lake Winnipesaukee. So I went there. I go every summer, but I recently just got back from that trip, and I think that's a great time to debrief here for the Delco Duo. So here's a few pictures. Yeah, so that's their dock. Of course, New England, we had to do some lobster. And it's a beautiful, stunning place. But
super romantic.
Super romantic. His mother took that photo.
Ew, don't get too romantic.
His mom took that picture of us. But yes, it's so peaceful and beautiful, as I mentioned, and serene. I mean, look at it. It's just stunning.
That is amazing.
But the problem is the drive. We could fly there. It would be about an hour flight into.
Where would you fly into?
You can fly into Manchester, which is a really tiny airport in New Hampshire. Huh. Or you could fly into Boston, and then it's like a drive, 2-hour drive to get there. So we always just drive because, you know, airport travel time, the way traveling is right now with the cancellations, we didn't want to risk it.
TSA.
So it's 7 hours long, and I have a big problem with the state of Connecticut.
Yes. And so for viewers who don't know, out-of-state Tate. That's what your mom calls your husband, out-of-state Tate, because he's from New Hampshire. My husband's from Connecticut.
So two New England boys.
We made these boys come to Delco, and it's hysterical because they really have taken it on. They love, like, I know Eugene loves Delco, Tate loves Delco, but when they go home, it's such a fun time for them. They're like, oh, I'm home. I'm with the people I love. I
hope they love the people here. Yeah. I'm home. I'm with the people I love, not my wives.
Yeah, right. With family and friends that I actually like. But and I love my husband's family, and I love the state of Connecticut. I lived there for a little bit, but
the drive is awful.
Driving is
it's really bad. The driving is really bad. I mean, it's stop and go traffic. So if you are watching and you live in Connecticut and you have a better way to get through your state, please let us know, because it is not an easy state to get through.
Right. And it's so small, you would think, oh, you know, it's not that bad. But it's so small, and it takes so long to get through.
So I think to answer your overall question is the lake has become my happy place.
Which is what you have to do. So when Eugene moved here, I introduced him to the shore, and he was always at first a little skeptical. I think a lot of it has to do with the Jersey Shore, like the show. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
Everybody's view of the Jersey Shore was that we were a bunch of Guidos, and it didn't help that my maiden last name was Italian, so he thought he was marrying like a Guido. And I'm like, no. The Jersey Shore is not Guido. Like, there's a lot else to it.
Right.
And then we did a shared house with friends down the shore. We rented with friends. And ever since then, he's addicted to it. He loves it. So same thing, like how you love the lake.
It grows on you.
Eugene turned to love the shore.
All right. So hopefully you're having some nice vacations this summer. Let us know where you're going. Of course, Delco Duo at phl17.com. You can send us your vacation pictures. I would love to see where people are going this summer.
Love to see that. And I'm sure a lot of people loving the lake. Like it just seems like such a fun time. So beautiful. Whether it's Lake Winnie, Lake Harmony.
Yeah, there's huge
Lake
lakes
Arrowhead,
in Pennsylvania.
I think in the
Poconos. Yeah, there's a ton of local ones too. So
love it.
I got to check those out. All right, it's time to get down to business.
All right, we've got our first issue from Fergus.
Fergus.
From Fulcroft. You know these are anonymous when I'm naming someone Fergus.
Do you know a Fergus?
No, I don't know a Scottish guy named Fergus.
Is that a Scottish name?
I think it's a Scottish name.
Okay, so I think you should read it in that accent then. How would Fergus say his issue?
Fergus from Fulcroft. What can I do to brighten my wife's day?
I think anyone Scottish that is probably not watching would disagree with that accent.
That was pretty good. That was spot on. Felt like you're in Scotland.
Fergus, this is so pure. This is a wholesome question. It's not an issue. It's just a simple question that Fergus submitted to us.
I'm so glad you think that, because that was my first initial thought. Like, he didn't have an issue whatsoever. He just is.
He just wanted advice.
He just wants advice. What can I do to brighten my wife's day? And I think number one, Fergus, just by asking that question, you're already like leagues
ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
You're not heading for an issue. You're not heading for problems. So I was thinking about this, like, okay, and do you remember, I don't know when you got married, some people go through pre-Cana. So we went through pre-Cana because we did a Catholic wedding. Everyone does it differently, but in pre-Cana, you learned love languages. Do you remember that lesson?
So ours was a bit different because I went to pre-Cana. They didn't call it pre-Cana when I was doing it because I did it in Alabama. So
it was
Catholics down south are a bit different from Catholics up north.
Yep.
And I can't remember what it was called. But yeah, it was something else. And anyway, so a bit different, but love language is interesting.
So that's what I think the answer to this is. There's 5. Acts of service, run an errand for your partner, cook a meal, gifts. Of course, we know what that is. Yep. Physical touch, we know what that is as well. Quality time or words of affirmation. So I think Fergus needs to figure out what his wife's love language is, and that is how you're going to brighten her day.
You know her well. What's your love language, real quick?
I like acts of service, running errands, cooking dinner.
Okay.
And what's yours?
I wouldn't mind love, like an actual language, like telling me.
Words of affirmation.
Yeah, words of affirmation. Like, just tell me I'm amazing.
So figure that out, Fergus, and then do that.
Do that. I also, if you have kids, Fergus, get them out of the house. Just as someone who has kids, number one, get the kids out of the house and let her just relax.
All right.
So sweet, Fergus.
So sweet. We love you. Coming up on the Delco Duo, we're going to hear from someone from Alden. He's made some new friends, but he's having an issue with these new friends.
And we'll let him know if he should keep them around.
Yeah, we're going to tell you what that issue is. Stay with us.
That was so fun talking about love languages, but now we got to talk about friendship. You know, we got love, friendship, working, covering all your bases. Our next topic is Austin from Alden. He says, I met new friends. I like hanging out with them, but his friend starts planning the weekend so far in advance. I'm not really down to make
This is Austin's words. So
he goes on to say.
Austin, he went on to say more than we're showing you. So that I'm not really down. I think he's got to be younger, because that's a younger way to say, like, I don't really want to, or I don't feel like it.
Yep.
I'm not really down to make concrete plans with him in case other stuff comes up. He knows I only have a couple friends in this city, so Austin is new to Delco. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to act like I have a packed schedule. So he has this friend. This friend's making weekend plans far in advance, and he doesn't want to commit to them yet.
Austin, that is so nice of your friend to do, especially that you just moved here. You don't have a ton of friends. If I'm Austin, I'm like jumping at every opportunity. Yeah, let's do this. Yes, let's do that. Let's do this. Let's do that. That's so nice of your friend.
So Austin is writing in, and I think Austin is a bad friend right off the bat. Because he says, in case other stuff comes up.
Yes.
So you're the friend that is always looking for the next best option. Like you're a friend on standby, you put them on the burner, and you say, oh, sure, I'll do it. But then the second something more enticing comes up, you cancel. That is a bad friend, Austin.
Austin, you're not going to make lifelong friends like that. Always looking for something else. I my group of girlfriends, anytime we make plans so far in advance, I'm just excited for
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's just something to look forward to. Austin, I think, you got to look at it like this is a really nice friend doing this for you, inviting you, including you. Making plans, I would just appreciate it instead of always looking for something else.
It could be, though, that he feels this new friend's being clingy, which also I can understand. Like, relax, we're new friends. We don't need to hang out every weekend. It is a lot to be like, okay, what are you doing in 3 weeks? We're going to do this. I can understand why that could turn someone off to a friendship. I really don't like the way it was worded in case something else comes up.
Right. That's not nice at all. But if you want to act like you've got something going on, don't let the person make plans. You know what I mean? Just right off the bat, say, sorry, can't do anything that weekend. Instead of being like, yeah, sure, and then let them make plans and then cancel on them. Canceled plans is not good. It's better just to be in the very beginning, can't make it, have a ton of fun.
But that's tough because he's doing it so far in advance.
Right.
So say you say, Jenna, we're going to go to the pool on August 12th at 5.
Yeah.
What I'm going to say from today, I can't that day. I have, that's a lot of excuses to have to make up.
It's a lot of pressure.
So are you blunt at that point? Do you just say, hey, I don't like making plans this far in advance?
Yeah, you could. I think that's kind of just better. Like, don't plan anything around me. If I can make it, I'll make it. You know what I mean? Again, I would hate for this person to continue to make plans and then you to flake out. So just, my friends do that a lot. Like when we're making plans, can you guys do, August 15th? Can you do August 16th? Someone will say, I can't do this or I can't do this date, but don't plan around me. I'm probably not going to
put it out there.
Yeah, don't plan around me.
It seems like this is like a one-on-one hangout.
Right.
Which is also a little strange. Like, do you have more friends that you can add into the mix? Maybe this will make it more enticing for Austin.
I think you just have to keep saying, like, don't plan around me. Don't plan around me. And then you might get a little clue.
Little does Austin know that when he gets a bit older and starts to have a family, that's the only way you make your plans.
Yes.
It's the only way you're going to make your plans. It's got to be weeks in advance.
Yeah.
So this is a good pregame to that.
Right. You said that Austin seems young. He does because,
he's not really down.
He's not really down. And also, you don't like making plans in advance. I love making plans in advance. Something to look forward to. All right. Austin, good luck. Coming up next, it's my issue or Jenna's issue. We'll see.
We got lots of problems.
Who's got the worst problem? Still ahead. Stay with us. And welcome back to the Delco Duo, discussing all of your problems. But now it is our turn to talk about some of the issues that we've been dealing with through the week. You had a nice week. You're fine. You went to the lake. You're de-stressed.
I'm zen.
You are very zen. So
this week,
we're talking about me in What's Monica Crying About.
What's Monica crying about? You big baby.
Well, I don't even know if I should be crying about this. This is what I need to understand, like a validation kind of thing.
You need advice. Which is exactly what this show is for.
So we now have a 3-year-old and an 8-month-old. And actually, he just turned 9 months. Okay, so we have a 9-month-old. And he's getting into that phase now where he's a super messy eater, but we still love going out to dinner. Let's look at some of the pictures because it's hysterical. This is the picture from dinner the other night. We are out to dinner.
Your face looks disgusted. You look disgusted with your child.
Look at him. He's such a messy eater right now, but he's so cute. oh, that's and look at my face.
That's exactly that's the first thing I saw. Look at your face. If that is your face as the mother, what do you think other people's faces are like?
Look at JoJo. JoJo's like, I'm just trying to eat here.
Okay, so your one saving grace so far is it looks like the restaurant's pretty empty.
Oh, okay.
There's nobody but in those seats behind you.
No, there was no one, and thank God. So Eugene and I just love going out to dinner.
I don't blame you.
But we don't do it very often because we understand we're annoying. We've got, the 2 kids. The one is, he's just slapping things all over the table. He makes so much noise now, and he is just such a mess. So I feel bad for the staff, the waitress, but we really do clean up after ourselves.
Well, that was going to be my question. How much of that would you clean up?
So you saw on the table, it's like,
He's not using a plate. He's using the table as his plate.
He's not using a plate because he'll smash the plate. So we can't put a plate in front of him.
Okay.
So we put the food on the table and then he just picks it up. This happened to be a lot more messy than usual.
Well, it's pasta.
It was pasta.
Right.
And it was marinara, like a spaghetti. And
that's marinara for people who don't know what marinara.
Marinara. And it's just everywhere.
The waitress, when she comes to check in, the waiter or waitress, like, what is the reaction from them?
Yeah, she was very sweet. She was like, oh, I have kids at home too. But I could even tell for her, she was like, oh my gosh, this kid. So I said from the very beginning, like, we're going to clean up. We're cleaning up. Like, I have wet wipes. I've got it all covered. I just, like, right now, can you just let him go? Like, it's all over the table, and some of it was getting onto his seat. But he's in a high chair. I'm wiping this up, I swear.
I don't know how to feel about this. So do you wipe up? You don't wipe up the floor, I'm assuming.
No, we wipe up the floor. Oh. Eugene was on his hands and knees.
So I wish that I would have an after picture. Like, I need to see the after picture of what this family leaves behind. Because if you clean up and you're diligent about it and it doesn't look as bad as when he's eating, then I think it's fine. But I also think that to other people at the restaurant, as well as the staff, they're probably not thrilled
when it's happening. And you should have seen him. So, we clean up our area, but the baby is covered, like himself.
Well, he's fine.
In pasta.
That's your thing to deal with when you get home.
No,
but I'm curious. I want to hear from people in the service industry. So if you work at like a restaurant or you work at a bar and you're watching right now, and Monica Cryan and her family comes into your establishment and you walk over to ask how the meal's going, and her child looks like that, like what are you thinking?
Right. And I think, again, our waitress was super nice, but even for her, it was a little unnerving. And that's when I realized, I was like, oh, man, we're making a little
So what are you going to do? Here. Are you just going to not go out until he gets over this hump, or are there ways to prevent this?
Well, we could give him not, like, spaghetti. But it's so hard. He loves it. And maybe we need to start ordering food that's a little bit cleaner. This was the one time. Usually we are getting him like chicken nuggets and French fries. You know what I mean?
But that involves ketchup.
Not for him. He's not. He doesn't care about ketchup at this point.
Weirdo.
I know. Just give it as much time before they start their ketchup kick. Otherwise, it's just years and years of just ketchup.
Maybe pack like one of the dishes that he can use.
Right.
Rather than using the table as a dish.
So, and that was the other thing, is this was just a random night that we were like, all right, let's just go out to dinner. Like one of those.
You weren't prepared. We were not pack the.
I actually have it. Like, it's amazing some of the stuff they have for kids nowadays, like where they actually have placemats that you can bring to restaurants. I have those. I didn't bring them this time because it was just so last minute. And I think we learned our lesson. We can't just do last minute dinners out because it got super messy.
If I'm going to be honest, if I'm your waitress, all I'm thinking is, great, now I have to clean this up. So I'm sure she was pleasantly surprised that you had cleaned up a lot of it.
Yes.
But my mind, I'm thinking, or you either clean up most of it, and if there's a little bit behind, you better be given a good tip.
Well,
you better be given a
I was
great
gonna say,
tip.
I didn't leave the tip. Eugene did, and I don't even want to see what that tip was because it probably was like most of the bill. Because Eugene it gets super like self-conscious, so he was definitely tipping nicely because it was, even though we cleaned up most of our mess, in leaving even just some of like the napkins,
Right.
with like all the marinara,
The wet wipes and all that. All right, if you have kids, let us know if you take them to dinner.
Yes, it's never easy.
All right, coming up, we have some Delco trivia.
Yes, and go ahead, Jenna.
Here's that question. What small borough was named after Abraham Lincoln's early sweetheart? We'll have the answer after the break. And welcome back. We asked you that trivia question before break, so have you thought about it?
I could not have told you. When you asked me this question, I was thinking, I'm thinking of like a woman's name. You know how like Maryland is named after like Mary?
Yes.
Queen Mary. Murray.
So you're thinking in Delco.
And I'm like Annsville, Marysville. And I'm like, there's no such thing. I said, my first guess, Upper Darby. I thought it was Darby. Maybe her name was Darby.
And then you thought they just added the upper?
Yes.
Okay, well, let's reveal that answer for you. What small borough was named after Abraham Lincoln's early sweetheart? That would be Rutledge.
Rutledge.
Anne Rutledge.
Why did we name something after like an ex-girlfriend? I'm so confused.
I will say there's some speculation online whether or not this is truly accurate.
Oh.
The reason that we can say and tell you this is because there's an actual historic marker, like one of those signs.
It is named after her.
There's a historic marker, and it's on the corner of Morton Avenue and Swarthmore Avenue where they meet.
Yes.
That says that Rutledge is Anne Rutledge, Abraham Lincoln's early sweetheart. So they have it in a historic marker within the town, but there are experts that are willing to debate that.
Do you know what happened to them? Why they didn't? I'm sure Abraham Lincoln.
What do you want me to do?
Because
call
you know
Abraham Lincoln and ask him why they didn't work out.
But it's so interesting because Abraham Lincoln and his actual wife, there's always like rumors that she was really tough on Abraham Lincoln. I mean, here's the president of the United States, and he's, being bossed around by this not very nice Mary Todd. Mary Todd was his wife. So you wonder, does he pine after Rutledge? And that's what I'm thinking.
I don't know.
It immediately. I'm thinking, what could have been if Abraham Lincoln and Anne Rutledge.
Well, Honest Abe, maybe he said something and Anne Rutledge didn't like it, and that's why they broke up. I'm totally making that up. Google it yourselves if you want to know. I don't even know if that would be on Google.
What would the course of history have been if they had made it? Maybe she didn't want to go to the theater that night, and Abraham Lincoln made it. In the end, he never got killed. You know what I mean?
You can say that about anything in life. Anything in life could be different if one thing did not happen to lead to the next.
Well, so people who live in Rutledge, if you're not familiar with Delco, or you're not even sure where that's located, near Folsom, Swarthmore.
It's right by Swarthmore College, so right in that area.
Swarthmore
School exactly. So look for that historic marker again. It's Morton and Swarthmore Avenue.
Think about the history of our country if Anne Rutledge had just married Abraham Lincoln.
All right. Well, thank you so much, as always, for joining us, Monica. If people, they want to submit their issues, how can they do that?
DelcoDuo@phl17.com. Yep. We want to see your emails.
And we do read all of them.
And keep you totally anonymous.
Yep.
But then you also can DM Jenna and I on Facebook and Instagram, which is where we've been getting a lot of our submissions. But I want to see more emails.
Yeah. I think email is kind of antiquated.
I think it's antiquated, but if you're antiquated, we still want to see your submission.
I don't think anyone's going to admit that they're antiquated. If you're old, please email us. We would love to see it. But no, again, we keep you completely anonymous. All of the names, even the places in Delco that you watched over this last half hour, they are completely fictional and made up. So we will not blow up your spot if you want to talk about someone in your family.
Rutledge. Anne Rutledge.
No, that is true. Anne Rutledge. Shout out to everyone in Rutledge. Thank you so much again for watching, and we will see you next Saturday night.
You've been served.